The story of the witch of Endor that summoned Samuel from the book of 1 Samuel chapter 28 verses 3 to 25. The night was cold and moonless across the hills of Israel. Fear hung over the land like a heavy fog. The armies of the Philistines had gathered for war, their campfires stretching across the valley like a sea of glowing stars. Across from them stood the forces of Israel, waiting for the battle that everyone knew was coming. In his tent, Saul sat alone. Once he had stood tall and confident before the nation. Once he had led armies to victory and heard the voice of God guiding him. But those days seemed far away. Now Samuel was dead. The great prophet who had anointed him king had been buried years before, and Israel mourned him still. Without Samuel, Saul felt as though a lamp had gone out in the darkness. The king rose and stepped outside his tent. Across the valley, he could see the fires of the Philistine army. His heart trembled. He had sought guidance from God. He had prayed. He had waited. But no answer came. Not through dreams. Not through prophets. Not through the sacred means by which God once spoke to Israel. The silence terrified him more than the enemy armies. As the night deepened, desperation began to overcome reason. "Find me a woman who can speak with the dead," Saul told his servants. The men stared at him in shock. Years earlier, Saul himself had driven mediums and spiritists out of the land, obeying God's command against such practices. Yet now the king wanted to seek one out. After a hesitant pause, one servant spoke. "There is a woman at Endor." Saul made his decision immediately. "Take me to her." That night Saul removed his royal robes and dressed as an ordinary traveler. Accompanied by two trusted servants, he slipped through the darkness and crossed the hills toward the village of Endor. The wind whispered through the trees as they walked. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every sound made Saul glance over his shoulder. At last they arrived at a small house on the edge of the village. A dim light flickered inside. Saul knocked. The door opened slightly, and an elderly woman peered out. "What do you want?" she asked cautiously. Saul lowered his voice. "Consult a spirit for me. Bring up the one I name." Fear flashed across the woman's face. "Surely you know what Saul has done," she said. "He has cut off the mediums and spiritists from the land. Why are you setting a trap for me?" Saul swore an oath. "No harm will come to you." The woman studied him for a moment. Then she nodded. "Whom shall I bring up?" Saul swallowed hard. "Bring up Samuel." The room grew silent. A single oil lamp flickered against the walls. The woman began her ritual. Then suddenly she gasped. Her eyes widened with terror. She staggered backward. "You are Saul," she cried. The king stiffened. "What do you see?" he demanded. The woman's voice shook. "I see a spirit coming up out of the earth." "What does he look like?" "An old man is coming up," she whispered, "and he is wearing a robe." At once Saul knew. "Samuel." The king fell face down to the ground. The room seemed colder than before. Then a voice spoke. A voice Saul had not heard for years. "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Saul's heart pounded. "I am in great distress," he said. "The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has turned away from me. He no longer answers me. So I have called for you, that you may tell me what to do." There was a long silence. Then Samuel answered, "Why do you ask me, since the Lord has departed from you and become your enemy?" Each word struck Saul like a hammer. Samuel reminded him of the days when God had commanded obedience and Saul had refused. The kingdom had been taken from him. It had been given to another, to David, and now judgment was near. The prophet's voice grew solemn. "The Lord will give both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines." Then came the terrible words. "Tomorrow you and your sons will be with me." The room fell silent. Saul collapsed.